Hey y'all, I'm Bree, and you are joining me for another session of Tea with Bree. Today's tea, I have a blend of lemongrass, mullein, a little bit of clove in here. I got some fresh lemon and some fresh ginger. So we got a whole bunch of antibacterial, antifungal, antiseptic. We got some mucus relief. We got some respiratory assistance. And I guess we can get into clove because I mentioned clove last time. Clove is super underrated, right? I'm gonna throw some clove in something because it's like a super spice. Again, it's anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antifungal, it's antiseptic. So if you got a toothache, chew on a piece of clove. Now it is a really strong taste. It's an acquired taste, but the benefits are worth it. It's also been found to help with cancer, help with liver issues, stomach ulcers, digestion. Though it does help with stomach ulcers and digestion, you do want to make sure that you're not overdoing it. So personally, I would drink a little bit of, like, I would add clove into my daily beverage. If you drink it daily, that's perfectly fine. I just wouldn't exceed 2 glasses. Honestly, I would just do 1 glass because it can also cause like diarrhea and stomach cramping, things like that if you do too much of it. But ultimately, clove is a super spice. Definitely give it a try because it could save your life. So that was the tea of the day. Some mullein, lemongrass, clove, fresh lemon, and ginger. And our topic today is delusion. Over the past week, I've had at least 3 conversations about delusion. And so I'm wondering where you stand. Now, me personally, I'm delusional, right? There's no doubt about it in my mind, but whenever I express it to someone else, when we're having those conversations about it, they're so surprised because they're like, I'm so aware. And yeah, that's true. I am aware. And some of my awareness, honestly, sometimes you just wake up in that shit, but like sometimes you have to like recognize, you know what? Imagining is fun. I love my imagination. I can be delusional, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. It just comes a time where you like, yeah, I can create my own reality. I can create my own reality by imagining what I wish it to be, but it got to be intentional, right? So the more time that I spend on the what ifs, the less time I have to focus on the will be, because shit be written, right? No matter how delusional we are, no matter how much we think that we are going to end up in this situation with this person on this, at this time, at this place, stuff be written. And sometimes it's not always like that. And it's kind of about accepting the fact that sometimes how it's meant to be, like the things we're destined for, are like so much greater than the things that we desire, because that's what that delusion is. It's something that you desire that you may not have even experienced yet. Right. So oftentimes delusion is based on your imagination. Right. So one way that I was explaining it, because I really don't seem delusional, is because I don't act on it. Right. I was explaining it as say for instance, you see somebody, right, and you interested in them. That is enough. Like, you literally don't have to go further than interested. You literally don't have to go further than, that's a nice outfit. They look like somebody I could probably, or that person got a nice smile. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I'm gonna marry this person. Or, you know what, after we go on the first date, it doesn't have to extend. It doesn't have to extend to making plans. Maybe that's a simple way to look at it. The delusion is when you get to making plans about something that you haven't experienced. I don't know. Either way, let's not misunderstand what I'm saying. Okay. Stay in your imagination, because I'm still gonna be delusional. But the fact that I'm able to identify the reality from the illusion is really what makes it worthwhile. Personally, I feel like existing in the world that we exist in, you have to have an escape. And if your escape just so happens to be your imagination, and it's a healthy escape for you, then you got to do what you got to do. Because personally, that's kind of my thing. You know, sometimes sometimes I'll be at work, and I like to bring things that benefit my business to work. So I always have something to work on. But shit, sometimes I just want to take 3 to 5 minutes to imagine owning a fucking hotel. I don't want to own a hotel, but sometimes when I'm listening to guests complain about stuff that I have no control over, imagine kicking them out and completely taking a membership. It just make the night a little smoother. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, and I don't want to use the term cope because there are a lot of negative connections to the word cope. So I guess I do want to use the word cope so that we can get a little bit of positive connections. But if your imagination is how you cope with certain situations to get you through, again, as long as you're doing it in a healthy manner, then that's fine. Now, what is a healthy matter to be delusional, right? How can how can you be like healthily delusional, right? So we'll use the example I just used. Me getting lost in my imagination, saying that, okay, if I own this hotel, this person will be on the street right now. That is not the same as me being like, I own this hotel. You can get out right now. Or me acting on if I or when I own this hotel, right? All of that's doing is putting me in a position of ownership. You know what I'm saying? So all that's doing is confirming that I am going to own my own business and I will be able to, interact with customers, guests, however, the way that I deem necessary. So that is one way that we separate the like healthy delusion, understanding that we're using it as a tool to see a bigger picture and soothe the suffering. And I did that because some people don't think that like people yelling at you is suffering, but if you work in customer service or hospitality, you know that that shit is it can get unbearable. So those will be situations where you can use delusion as a tool to kind of lift yourself up, lift your spirits, a tool to kind of manifest the reality that you want to exist in. Again, me imagining that I own this hotel is not to say that, okay, I'm going to own a hotel. I know that's what I'm going to do. Me imagining that I'm owning this hotel is me, one, removing myself from that immediate situation, therefore eliminating the negative emotions that I feel so I can't react on them. And then again, me just understanding that I am destined to own and create a business where I am able to just maneuver and interact with guests and customers that the way that I deem most beneficial for my business. Now, the unhealthy form of delusion comes from okay, that was about work. Maybe let's give a dating example. I'm an example as person, right? I like to be understood, and I think that examples help us understand. So let's do relationships because I feel like those are the most opportune times to be delusional. It happens to the best of us, to the worst of us. It happens, right? So that is an unhealthy example of delusion. Say, for instance, you meet somebody and y'all are hanging out. So in your head, things are going very smooth, and now that's your man, right? Not really. You want to have open conversations when you are delusional about other people. When your delusion includes other people, that's when it's time to have a healthy conversation or an open conversation. Because sometimes the conversation may not be as healthy as you want it to be, depending on the person that you're having the conversation with. But you just want to have an open minded conversation and understand that your expectations, the things that you see, may not be the reality. So you want to make sure that you're open minded so that you're able to navigate that person's desires. Because just because you desire something doesn't mean they desire the same thing. And literally that has to happen. Y'all have to both intentionally work towards the same thing if it's a relationship. So you want to make sure that you're open to having those conversations to the people who are involved in your delusions. Because if you just go around, if you just go around the world treating those people the way that you see them in your narrative, that creates a weird relationship. And again, we're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. I am very, very vocal. So I tend to express myself at the drop of a fucking dime, especially because I know that I'll also start quote unquote acting funny. I think that's the reason that people act funny, because things are just not um they're not happening in reality the way that they imagine them happening or the way that they expected them. I'm not even going to continue to use the word imagine. I'm going to use the word expecting, because sometimes our delusion is based off of the standards that a person has set or what we've observed, even though we haven't personally experienced it. And really quick, I want to throw that key thing in. Sometimes we observe a person behave a certain way, but when we are with them in an intimate environment, they just simply don't behave that way. So that is another form of relationship delusion. When you see a person, say for instance, at an open mic all the time, and you see them in this certain light, and you begin to think that you really like this person. You begin to think that like you and this person will be a perfect match, but then you're hanging out with them one on one, and it's just not the same situation. They just are not the person that you painted them in your mind to be. That doesn't make them a bad person. That doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that next time you need to make sure you get to know a person before you begin to create that relationship in your head or begin to feel like something could be before even experiencing what it actually is. It's super easy to get caught up as that person who is not really interacting in their relationships effectively because the relationships aren't going the way that you expected them to, and you're not communicating that. So just a friendly reminder to be vocal and communicate your expectations, because the more we communicate our expectations, the less they, I don't want to say the less they are illusion, but typically the more we communicate our expectations, the easier it is to find people willing to, live up to those expectations. And so we can actually create real bonds, real relationships instead of the ones that we imagine or desire. So yeah, that is where I stand on delusion. Keep your imagination strong, but understand that this is real life. It's just real out here. You know what I'm saying? So just because you are imagining it, or just because you are thinking it to be true, or the basis of a relationship, or situation or place or time, that doesn't make it correct, that doesn't make it factual, that doesn't make it the reality. So friendly reminder to maybe do some journaling. If you need to book a journal session, you can connect with me on Instagram, and you can book there so we can have a conversation and I can provide some journal prompts to kind of evaluate whatever, we talked about, but friendly reminder to do some journaling, because that helps provide some insight on the reality versus the delusion. So yeah, thank you for joining me with another Tea with Bree. I'm hoping that you enjoyed, and I cannot wait